So I want to talk to you about being a closer today. And here's the thing I know. Anytime I say, hey, listen, be a closer, everybody has the same response. And it's this, ew. Or maybe not everybody, but most people have the same response. And that is this Glenn Ross selling knives and vacuum cleaners and used cars, right? It's this derogatory, like you can feel it. It's an emotion that you can literally feel that, oh my God, I don't want to be that guy or that girl. And I want to ask you today to reframe this because I'm not sure who or when that happened, but the reality is this. Closing is an incredible thing. I wrote down the definition here. The definition to close is to bring two parts together to bridge a gap. To bring two parts together to bridge a gap. So let's reprogram ourselves to better understand what this really means. So I'm having this conversation. I was on the phone with Sharon, which is why I was late, and I apologize. He can be a talker, right? My boy can be a talker. But he said something that was very interesting to me. He said, have you ever noticed that real estate agents specifically get, as listing agents, they forget that they're there to sell the home? They're not there to list the home. They're not there to market the home. They're not there to get showings for the home or do open houses for the home. They're actually there to sell the home. And it isn't incredible how committed people will get to, doing the open house, which you know me, I love that as a lead gen strategy, right? How committed they'll get to do the marketing, but you know me, I love that about your branding and your lead gen. When it comes to showing the property, somebody comes into the property, how many of you will sit back and not sell the property? How many of you won't give a tour of the property like I don't know, somebody would for a luxury automobile? Well, they all have four wheels, they all have a steering wheel and an engine, but until somebody sits back and says, hey, listen, Todd, the reason the Maybach is this cool is because of this feature and that feature and this thing, and doesn't that sound amazing, right? When's the last time we did that as real estate agents? We were showing a property that we built such incredible value behind the entire story and the experience that the previous owner had, and like all of these pieces. So he was recounting a story about somebody who had said, hey, listen, I had this listing and I didn't get it sold. Anybody? This sound familiar, right? I had a listing and I wasn't able to get it sold, but I had a lot of I had a lot of showings. Like I did such great marketing. I did so many open houses. Like I did everything that I said I was going to do. But no, you didn't. Because we don't get paid to market properties or do open houses at properties or list properties. We get paid to close sales of properties. So here's my thing. I'm going to give you another example, right? Because everybody knows that I outkicked my coverage when it came to my wife, right? Well, listen, here's the thing. When we think about dating, one of the things that happens with dating, right, is you see each other. Maybe you see each other from across the room. One moves a little closer, right? Again, closing the gap, right? One asks the other one out, they go out. Next thing you know, somebody ultimately is asking for their hand in marriage, right? It's closing. They are bridging the gap. They're getting closer and closer to closer. What happens in a relationship if you don't close the gap? Well, ultimately, you move on and you find somebody else that you ultimately do close the gap, right? That could be good or that could be bad. Like that, no judgment there. But my point is that when you bring two relationships closer and closer together, they either continue to get closer to the close, or they say, hey, great to meet you. We're going to go on to a different direction. It's exactly the same thing that's going on with our listings. It's exactly what's going on with our buyers. For whatever reason, some of us are afraid of having the close conversation. So here's my question to you. Are you willing to reprogram yourself so that you are not afraid to do the very thing that you get paid to do? If you have a buyer, I'm going to give you a prime example. If you're working with a buyer and you show them a property, is it uncomfortable for you to, as you leave that property, to say, Carrie, you said you wanted a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this neighborhood, in this school district. How was this? Did this satisfy all your needs? How many of you are willing to have that conversation? No? Tell me a little bit about this property that didn't fit so that I can better focus on the properties that did. Or how about this one? You know, Todd, this was really a great property. Carrie, are you ready to make an offer on this home today? How many of us are willing to have those conversations that are exactly that, the close, right? On the flip side, from a listing standpoint, how many of you are willing to have conversations, and not only with your sellers, but if a buyer's agent comes in and says, gosh, you know what, your property is $7 million. I know it's listed for $7 million, but really, I think my client's probably thinking $5 million. How many of you are sitting back going, I don't know if that's going to work? Or are you saying, absolutely, bring me the offer, bring me detail. Do you understand the value of this home? Do you know what the cost of construction is? Let's put a deal together, because our job ultimately is 100% based on closing. So go out and be a closer and be proud of who you are and what you do for a living. Have a great day.